On July 3rd, New York Times columnist David Brooks wrote an article titled, "Are We Really Willing to Become Dumber?" He opens by saying, quote, "I'm generally optimistic about all the ways artificial intelligence is going to make life better. Scientific research, medical diagnoses, tutoring, and my favorite current use, vacation planning. But it also offers a malevolent seduction, excellence without effort. It gives people the illusion that they can be good at thinking without hard work. And I'm sorry, but that's just not possible." End quote. While AI is relatively new, the seduction that Brooks describes isn't. Nor does this promise, excellence without effort, tempt students alone. In fact, well after my graduation from Pingry, and before AI became a global topic of anxiety and optimism, I experienced firsthand the temptation to believe that excellence without effort is possible. And I'm here to assure you that it's not. The year was 2014, and my wife and I were turning 40. To commemorate this milestone birthday and set a positive tone for the year, we decided to enter a Tough Mudder with some family members and friends. For those of you who don't know, a Tough Mudder is a race with a series of obstacles designed to test participants' physical and mental stamina, while also encouraging teamwork and camaraderie. These obstacles would unfold over a 12-mile course, and driving from Basking Ridge to Raceway Park in English County, New Jersey, it became clear that many members of our team hadn't trained properly in the months prior and were having second thoughts about the race. My own doubts were largely in check as I mentally reviewed my preparation until I turned to talk to my brother-in-law, a former Division I athlete I was counting on to help lead us, and saw him speeding away in his car. Apparently, he had taken one look at the first obstacle, called Ladder to Hell, and had had enough. While I was also unaware that many of the Tough Mudder obstacles involve scaling walls made of mud and wood, obstacles with quaint names such as Berlin Walls, Everest, and the Block Ness Monster, one team member had wisely done her research and proactively recruited her younger brother to participate. He was a 6'4" college senior, whom I'll refer to as Andre the Giant. I'm not sure what lies she told Andre to get him to agree to join our middle-aged and now shrinking team, but at that moment I was too grateful to ask. So despite the unexpected departure of my brother-in-law, we quickly rallied, and the Tough Mudder's guiding principles, encouraging teamwork and camaraderie, were evident on the starting line as we exchanged high fives and psyched each other up. Those principles disappeared 75 meters into the race when we encountered the first wall, at which point we stopped, shrugged our shoulders, and began frantically pointing and speaking gibberish. Years later, watching Despicable Me at the AMC headquarters in Morristown, I shook my head in recognition and embarrassment, thinking back upon our minion-like behavior. But that morning at Raceway Park, with 11.95 miles left to go, I had no time for reason or nostalgia. Instead, I began signaling with my teammates for Andre the Giant to lift us up over the wall, which he did with surprising ease. We would repeat this pattern, run, wall, gibberish, lift, for mile after mile, with amazing success. And while I like to think that I was the smartest minion on our team, emerging as a King Bob or Kevin-like figure, the sad fact is that I just as quickly and completely came to rely on Andre the Giant to solve almost every problem and obstacle we encountered. That was the case until we arrived at one of the final obstacles, known as electroshock therapy. Here, unused to asking questions and thinking independently or creatively, my string of good luck ended, and ended badly. As I've since learned from the Tough Mudder website by reading Electroshock Therapy, A History, there aren't any recommended ways to train for this daunting obstacle, perhaps the race's most controversial and nonsensical. As the website entry reads, this simple structure remains largely unchanged from its inception and consists of a field of wires dangling from a rectangular frame, clicking as 10,000 volts of electricity crackle through them. Completing this obstacle is, quote, a rite of passage for most participants, and a favorite amongst spectators who enjoy watching the carnage. End quote. The entry ominously concludes, in the end, as you approach the obstacle, just close your eyes and run. Like a minion not bothering to think or ask questions, I did exactly what the website had said. I closed my eyes and I ran straight through. And then I made contact with one of those dangling wires flicking 10,000 volts of electricity, and I fell face first, unconscious, into a pile of mud. The Tough Mudder website has an entire page dedicated to electroshock FAQs under the heading, "What the hell just happened?" I don't think David Brooks was familiar with it when he wrote the following about the dangers posed by AI search engines. Quote, "The neuroscience cliche is that neurons that fire together wire together. Thinking hard strengthens your mental capacity. Using a bot to think for you, or even just massaging what the bot gives you, is empty calories for the mind. You're robbing yourself of an education and diminishing your intellectual potential." End quote. As I regained consciousness while lying there in the mud, I wasn't thinking about search engines, neurons, or my diminished intellectual potential. In that moment, crawling through the mud like an extra in The Walking Dead, I was too dazed and confused to regret not thinking hard, or at all, before running straight into an electrical field. But that regret would arrive a few moments later, when my head cleared and I watched my teammates calmly walking around the obstacle, and thereby avoiding the field entirely. "Wait," I asked the team once my mouth started working again. "Why didn't you guys follow me?" "Because you don't have to," Andre replied calmly. "You can opt out of any obstacle." "You didn't know that?" The lesson hit me just as hard as the wires. I had become so reliant on race shortcuts and on extra help from our giant that I had stopped thinking for myself. With the rise of AI, these shortcuts are more available to all of us now than ever before. And I worry and I wonder whether we truly understand the risks of continually taking them. A group of researchers led by an MIT professor recently recruited 54 participants and asked them to write essays. As David Brooks describes in the New York Times, some of the participants used AI to write the essays, some wrote with the assistance of search engines, and some wrote the old-fashioned way, using their brains. Using an EEG headset to look at the inner workings of the participants' brains, the researchers found that the subjects who relied only on their own brains showed higher connectivity across multiple brain regions. Search engine users experienced less brain connectivity, and AI users experienced the least of all. In other words, more effort, more reward, more efficiency, less thinking. David Brooks and the MIT researchers understand the tempting appeal of using AI. And when messages about the value of speed, efficiency, and productivity seem to be everywhere these days, it's easy to understand why many students and adults view AI as a critical time-saving tool, especially for the homework and assignments that might seem less important. But those same researchers also understand that, quote, "There's a seductiveness to the process. You start by using AI as a research tool, but then you're harried and time-pressured, and before long, AI is doing most, if not all, of the work." Given how suddenly and completely AI appeared, not just in schools, but in our lives beyond campus, it's hard to imagine an alternative to either fully embracing it or fully rejecting it. But as with almost every obstacle we face, we can, and I would argue we must, carefully choose how, not whether, we are going to engage with it. Indeed, while AI may seem unique in its potential to disrupt and improve our lives, it is merely one in a long list of complicated topics, from energy and climate to farming, politics, future pandemics, and the economy, that deserves our full attention. And we had better develop the skills necessary for facing this growing list of challenges and making the necessary and hard choices required of each of us. So how do we tell the difference between a shortcut and a genuine solution? How do we differentiate between the mindless, even harmful tools and the complex, ultimately useful ones? How do we ask for help while not becoming overly dependent on that help? In short, how do we remember to think for ourselves? I believe these and other related questions can largely be found offline in our nearly 100-year-old honor code. While almost everyone agrees that AI isn't going anywhere, I would hope and argue that neither is Pingry. And yet AI will most certainly change Pingry, especially if we make the mistake of sitting passively by, allowing it to interpret, translate, and rewrite our values and our honor code for us. As David Brooks argues, quote, "The crucial question facing us is one of motivation. What do students and all of us really care about? Clearing the schedule, checking boxes, and clearing obstacles, or becoming educated? If you want to be strong, you have to go to the gym." So what does that look like in practice? What does it look like to possess good judgment, to think and act independently, to be a lifelong learner who, rather than outsource the work, is willing and comfortable to engage with new ideas and ask questions and build connections? It looks like a story I read this summer in The Athletic, a story that answers these questions and illustrates just how important and transformative human relationships can be. Nearly 3 years ago, head coach Sean McVay from the Los Angeles Rams admitted in an interview that after a disastrous season, he was burnt out and was considering leaving coaching altogether. Watching from home, retired college football coach Chris Peterson recognized the look on McVay's face. He had been there himself, so he picked up the phone. Peterson, best known for building winning teams and positive cultures at Boise State and the University of Washington, didn't call McVay to simply offer quick fixes. Instead, he offered steady support, honest feedback, and accountability, the same habits that had defined his own college coaching career. The relationship that Peterson subsequently built with McVay helped McVay emerge with a regained sense of balance, purpose, and happiness from what he describes as the hardest year of my life. Different setting, different stakes, but the lesson is the same. Exercise isn't just about talent or shortcuts. To truly be excellent and honorable, we need to be willing to put in the work, to summon the courage to reach out to others, as well as the humility to listen to others and admit when we need help ourselves. Each of us needs to show up this academic year with the same lofty hope and goal, that our actions will positively impact others, because we each bear this responsibility. That we can't accomplish this goal every time, that we will inevitably fall short, is secondary to our commitment, to our belief that it's a goal worthy of our continuous effort and pursuit. Allowing someone to carry you over Tough Mudder obstacles earns you a t-shirt, not a knighthood. And none of us should settle for being a bystander to our education. A core part of a Pingry education involves not just benefiting from this outstanding community, but actively creating and maintaining it. Perhaps now more than ever, we have to genuinely prioritize, support, and invest in one another more than we rely on and trust sophisticated AI systems. The convenience of a human-like conversation isn't a worthwhile substitute for the benefits of an actual conversation. A virtual community, while potentially powerful and useful, isn't a replacement for this one. Pingry's mission states that we value exploration, growth, and social responsibility, not just for the benefit of the individual student, but for others. Our honor code echoes this, stating that we believe in acting as responsible members of the community, in working for the common good, and in honoring the rights of others. The emphasis on the community, on the importance of people and relationships, that's our North Star. So whether you're a first-year employee or a member of the McGee Street, a Pingry lifer, or a newly enrolled student, we share a collective responsibility to show up for and uplift one another today and every day. And this isn't a duty that we can outsource to AI or Andre the Giant. For we set the culture, our actions build the community, and we breathe life into the honor code, our honor code. Let's have a great year.